Hello, bitch. Welcome to part 4, the final part of our Nightmare on Elm Street retrospective.
Which I guess this is part 2 of the was it Lock Your Door? 1, 2, Freddy's coming
Oh,
for
yes,
you.
yes.
3, 4, better lock your door.
Yeah, and also this is a new setup we're doing for the show.
Yeah.
Thought I would do something a little different, just make it a little bit more better.
I feel like it breathes a little more than
Yeah.
before.
And we got a table. And we're here to talk about the reimagining era.
Reimaginings.
Yeah, the era of, like, basically it's Nightmare on Elm Street, but they're going to do different things. So we're going to talk about Wes Craven's New Nightmare and the remake.
From 2010. 1994, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. It's a completely, if you think about it, it's a completely, like, new, fresh idea, fresh take on the character. Some familiar faces come back. Some new faces.
Very, yeah.
Who, well, let's just say you won't be seeing much of their faces, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, this is proto Scream.
Yeah.
Wes Craven. It's like this came out in '94. Scream comes out in '96. It's like he's got something cooking, and I feel like New Nightmare is the half-baked, half-cooked version of what Scream would be on ideas.
I think what happened was I think he saw what he did with New Nightmare about the whole, kind of meta-ness of it. It's not as meta as Scream would be, but I think it made him more interested in, rather than going through and kind of in a way dissecting his own movies, what about a genre as a whole?
Yeah.
And I think whether intentional or unintentional, he probably felt as though this was like the building block to what would become Scream. Again, I don't know if that was his intention, but when you watch it, knowing that what Scream is, it definitely makes a lot of sense to think that he either had Scream in his back pocket, or the idea of this one led to its creation.
So we have Heather Langenkamp is back as Heather Langenkamp. We have Wes Craven making his debut in the films as a character, as himself. I guess it's kind of like him, but it's very cartoonish of like how he's just like
just nonchalant about everything.
Like he's explaining like, oh, we're keeping Freddy, he's a demon, and we've been keeping him captive in like the movies, but now there's no movies. Now he's out. And it's like, oh wow, way to be nonchalant about it.
Well, my feeling on that is I have this feeling that for Wes, it's a metaphor.
Yeah.
But for her, it's real.
John Saxon as John Saxon, Robert Englund as Robert Englund, and Freddy Krueger.
Yes.
Well, or the demon portraying Freddy Krueger.
He technically plays himself and both Freddys, if you think about it.
Yeah, I love the scene where like they do the interview with Heather. And
for the morning talk show.
Yeah, and it's the 10th anniversary of Nightmare on Elm Street. That's the idea, and it legit was. This movie is like the 10th anniversary. And I love how Robert Englund shows up in the Freddy makeup, but it's the Freddy's Dead makeup, the really bad hokey one.
Here's the thing.
I think that's funny.
Here's the thing. I can forgive it because if you're gonna do it for like a morning talk show, especially through the dialogue, they kind of reveal that it's like, I don't know if it was necessarily a spur of the moment, but they meant to do it as a surprise. I can understand that. Like, you're not going to get the full, and I know he didn't do it, but like, you're not going to get the Tom Savini quality makeup and effects. You're going to get, that's what you're going to get. The only difference is one was for a morning talk show appearance. The other was for an actual feature-length film that was released to a public.
Oh, and there was that cameo shot of, I forget his name. I'm blanking on his name from the original, the one that was in the jail cell. He was at the funeral.
I know that was definitely a pause and see who I see.
Oh, and let's not forget Lynn Shay. She was the doctor in this, and she was the teacher in the original Nightmare on Elm Street. So I guess she's not a teacher. It was probably the teacher was an extra. That was actually a nurse in lore. I don't know.
But it was fun, like, before anything really gets going in the movie, kind of like picking out and seeing like, oh hey, that person,
and
that person.
Oh, Bob Shay, of course, is in it.
Right.
Robert Shay, sorry.
But the thing is, when I was watching it, I knew we were following Heather, so I knew, obviously that, but like I didn't expect as many people. You know what, and it could be where his status was at the time. Little surprised they couldn't get Johnny Depp for that. Because it was such a small thing. Because he's like, it's not like everybody who was from a previous movie really did anything in this, except for those two. Well, three if you count Robert Englund. But I was just surprised. I was surprised because it was still early 90s. He was getting big, but I think it maybe could have been a studio issue.
Yeah. So Heather is married. She's legit married to a makeup artist. I don't think it was the actor is actually, but in real life she is married to an effects artist.
It's a caricature of her real life.
And her son Dylan. I don't think that's her actual son Dylan, but you know what I mean.
Well, of course it's not. That's the kid from Kindergarten Cop.
Yes.
He was on Full House, and everyone remembers him from Pet Sematary, which I think they were trying to channel some of that Pet Sematary energy from him, and I don't think it translated.
No, it
didn't work.
There was one funny moment. It's when they were talking about the Heather about I think Robert Shea was talking to Heather about Wes is writing the new Nightmare, and she was like, "But I thought Wes didn't do horror movies anymore."
Yeah, do you ever look at... Yeah, when she said that, I thought to myself, I need to look at his IMDb. Did you look at his IMDb when that line happened?
I mean, he did 4 Screams, he did Cursed, he did Red Eye, he did My Soul to Take, which I think was his last non-Scream film.
No, but this is later. I'm talking about... Because she said any more. I went and looked back at his filmography beforehand, and I didn't see anything indicating he was stepping away. Maybe he did do some non-horror stuff.
Maybe that's the joke.
Maybe it's a joke that fell a little flat. Maybe he was just referencing the fact that he was doing some more non-horror stuff.
Oh, and there's another... We gotta mention one important character in the film, and that is the stock broken vase sound effect. They use that a lot.
Yeah.
Like, the earthquake was one thing. But throughout the movie, you hear it. I wonder if that's like a small joke in there, because they do it like almost too much.
Yeah, that's the problem with a movie like this. When you go meta, is like some of the things you're just like, is that a joke? And it's just not gelling with me, or was this just... You don't know.
Yeah.
And for someone like me, who I don't, Wade and I, we've done some shorts here and there, but I don't consider myself somebody in the biz or anything like that. So for someone like me, like, if that's a joke, I wouldn't get it.
Yeah. Oh crap! So Freddy has a new look. I sort of like the look.
There's parts of it I like. I like most of it. There's a few things I don't like.
The leather pants?
I don't like the leather pants. And although it didn't bother me once he got the coat. I was okay with the coat.
The coat was the best part of it. And he doesn't wear it often.
I didn't like that the hat was green. But but at least it was the same shade as the green stripes.
I forget what review I heard. I heard it from someone was discussing this movie, and they were saying it was kind of like the demon is trying to replicate what Freddy looked like, and it messed it up a little bit. Like, if you notice, like, I don't know if it's the intention, but I do like how the glove looks, or his hands look, because it's like bone, it's like muscle, but the bone and veins are above the muscle, like outside of it.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
And and the way the claws come out, it kind of reminds me of part 2 when the claws are coming out of his hand, and it's his actual hand.
And he kind of has the burn makeup is more of like maybe like skin stretched off him. A good example, I guess, like, I mean, if people read comic books, when Joker cuts his face off and he has that stretched face, that's what it kind of feels like. But there's holes in it. He has more of a hook nose.
Yeah, I guess to make him look a little more demonic.
His eyes are like yellow. Yeah.
But I mean, that's a fine theory to have as far as like he was trying to replicate. Right? I'm pretty sure the idea was that is the demon, and Wes Craven was just trying to make as close to it as he could in the early 80s.
Like, there was moments where, like, what I like about Freddy is he's vicious. He's like not for the most part. He's no nonsense.
He's still I like to think of this as dickhead Freddy.
Yeah, he's still an ass, but like there's 2 times he does the one-liner. I'm like, well, like when he's dragging the babysitter up the wall, like Tina and stuff like that. And he's like got the cat's toe or something like that.
No, I thought it was like, have you ever played Skin the Cat?
Skin the Cat's what it was, and I thought to myself, oh.
See, I would have been okay with it if he actually, like, sliced her flesh off.
Yeah, and then there was also the moment where he's like,
but it was
he's about to drown Heather in the water in the weird Egyptian Aztec building thing at the end. And he says a line, I forget what it was, and I'm just like, because he's mostly mean and vicious the whole movie. He's almost doesn't talk. And I think that's scary about him, is now it's a different Freddy. It's a completely different Freddy.
Well, it's more akin to the original Freddy. It's more about being creepy and atmosphere rather than just kills and jokes.
Yeah, there's like some things that are kind of fun of like the there was a lot of things they set up, like the stalker. I'm like, ooh, that's kind of cool. Like, is that the killer?
Yeah, I mean...
And then the phone turns into a tongue. Like, oh,
yeah, at a certain... Like, I never thought...
Oh, and the earthquake and the claw happens to the wall because of the earthquake. That's cool.
Knowing what I knew about the movie, I knew that it wasn't... I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, if I had gone to this movie completely fresh, would that have played in my mind?
Yeah.
But...
I have a side question before you get into that.
Oh, sure.
So you have Robert Englund, who has alluded that he has the dreams. What happens to him?
Okay, it's funny you say this. I have two theories. About Robert Englund.
Because he just disappears. The people not watch this movie. He just disappears.
I have two theories about Robert Englund in this movie. Number one, Robert Englund is possessed by the demon that is this new Freddy, or Robert Englund is that demon. Because remember, he talks about how, like, keeping it, like, as long as he's making the movies, it doesn't have its power. Maybe when it doesn't have its power, it reverts to Robert Englund. But then now that it's coming out and everything, because keep in mind, here's where I got this theory. The one time where she is in public, or the first time you see Freddy, Robert Englund is there. But you don't see him.
Yeah.
That's what makes me think Robert Englund is in the world is Freddy. Because now all of a sudden, like, he's all jovial and everything while he's painting, and then all of a sudden she's like, "Hey, can I come over?" It's like, no, I'm doing something. I'm going somewhere, and they never follow up on it. Why? Because he's Freddy. Or he is the demon.
I didn't look at the special features on the box set, but there may be a deleted scene where he gets killed.
There could be, but my theory is...
I kind of wish Robert Shea got killed.
That would have been nice.
That would have been fun.
It would have definitely made up for some of the sequels.
It would definitely made up for that third act of this film, which was it's a good movie that were like, you like it until you don't.
Well,
I like the where they go, and I like, for the most part, I do like. I think it's kind of stupid, but when his face stretches, I'm gonna eat you up.
That's the only part of it that I thought was like really.
And the tongue was a little bit much.
Freddy's been using that tongue for 10 years.
I know.
I'm okay with it.
And it's just like, it just kind of felt like, oh, it's. And also, he's vulnerable in the dream world.
No. He's in the I think he's in the idea is, at that point, he's in the real world. Like, we're in the world, like, he's real at this point.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say is, I do, whether intentional or not, I do feel like there's some kind of, like, not necessarily like references to, but allusions to previous movies. First example being The Dream Child. It's about Freddy and a child. Of course, in this case, the child's born, whereas in the other one, I feel like, as much as we hate it, I feel like Freddy's Dead is essentially like the reference to that Egyptian temple, because it kind of goes off of it comes up the idea of like the dream people, and how he said he was like, it was like a spirit, and the fact that he's a demon, they say like he's the dream or the nightmare demon or whatever.
Oh, the reveal of the demon was awful.
I'm just saying, like, I feel like there are there's probably more that I could think of, but I don't want to get too deep into it, because I think it's all unintentional, but it feels like it could be.
Yeah. Miss me.
One of my only real gripes with the movie is I don't like the way they use the kid. Again, I think whatever he had going for him in Pet Sematary, it's not working here. Anytime he just starts screaming, and I'm like, I'm not scared. I'm not I don't care. I just want him to stop. You know? Or like when he's like, when he's trying to be creepy, it's just not, it didn't work for me. It kind of made it feel a little silly, which is not what and I know people are saying, that's what they were going for. They were not going for that.
It's okay because Heather Langenkamp acts for the both of them.
She did a really good job.
Yeah. She's really good in this role, playing herself.
Well,
you know what I mean.
Well, she plays herself until she plays Nancy.
Oh yes. I do like that moment where John Saxon, because there is a moment where like,
and give it up to John Saxon, man.
Yeah,
he did really. You know what I loved about this, and even my wife agreed with me. He was a better father figure to her in this movie, playing himself, than his character was in the prior movies.
There's a moment where he's like, yeah, sure, on the phone when she's in bed and she calls him, which was the one scary scene, and just in general, it's just a kid crossing traffic. It's a little silly.
Yeah.
In execution, but like it's actually freaking frightening.
Well, I did like when he's running. I did like the big Freddy in the clouds, and especially that one shot, because they were kind of doing the whole like Dream Freddy thing. Except there's one shot where you see a very big claw, holding the kid. But what I didn't like was when he gets to the end and you just see the Kiss Creatures of the Night Love It Loud video versions of Freddy. Like, why did that happen? Why was that necessary? That was wasted budget money, in my opinion.
But yeah, John Saxon was she's calling him about it, and John Saxon's like, I think the line was like, yeah, sure. I'm like, that sounds kind of familiar. And then it's played off, that's what the dad says in the movie.
Right.
And it's like, that's kind of cute, because it's just like a blow-off line of John Saxon. But I thought, that's like, John Saxon's kind of caring in this film. Why would he be like so dismissive? Oh.
And then all of a sudden you realize he's becoming her dad.
Yeah, he's just saying Nancy.
He's like, Nancy, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And it's like that little thing. And I like how it wasn't so obvious. Sometimes sometimes obvious is good. There's other times where obvious is not so good. And this was definitely one of those times where not obvious was good.
My favorite thing is at the end when she's just reading this awful script, this scary script to her son after this big old thing.
Yeah.
There was a cool moment when she goes into the dream world under the covers. And it's like a long, like
world of sheets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really cool idea. There's a lot of cool ideas. And then that third act happens, and you're like, because also the nurse, the head nurse, that was like really like, Nancy, do we have to get social services?
Oh my god,
she's great.
Was that not the worst hospital you ever saw?
Yeah.
Also, shout out to that nurse for getting punched in the face and then I can't remember.
That's one hell of a babysitter. That was a great babysitter. She's like, no.
Yeah, she did not deserve the death she got.
No.
But yeah, I like I said, I like this one more than I thought I would. Yeah. I don't know how well it holds up to other movies in the franchise, but
we'll see in our rankings.
Yeah. But one thing I did want to touch on before we go to the next one is that jump scare where she's going through the closet and he just like peeks through. Yes. That may be one of the best jump scares I've ever seen.
Oh, and how about the funeral when the casket comes and this first time you see him and his claw comes out and grabs the kid?
Yeah.
What?
But you know what? Speaking of good jump scares, you want to talk about some bad jump scares?
Can we just keep talking about New Nightmare?
No.
Did you ever think about what if Michael Bay produced a Nightmare on Elm Street film?
No.
So it's a 2010 film, so these horror movies have the same lighting of like it's got that yellowish tint to the color grading and temperature. You got the jump scare where they had to have that sound, and they do it a lot, which is very Michael Bay of having loud noises just happen for reasons.
And sometimes when you can't afford the actor or whatever, you just use a JPEG of them and then do a jump cut to do a jump scare.
Oh, the library scene, that was great.
Oh my god, it was so bad.
So I did some research, so I'm like, why? Just why? Well, this is the craze. I mean, they did Halloween in 2009, 2008. They did the Friday the 13th film, which I think was also 2010 or 2009.
2009. It was 1 year before this one, which I have two schools of thought on this. I feel like Number one, it was either they saw the success of that one, they had the Nightmare on Elm Street, so they're like, let's do Nightmare on Elm Street because New Line did. New Line did these ones.
Well, a lot of movies did this. You know, you had the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know, I believe they did. What was it? Hills Have Eyes. Like they did a lot of remakes around the 2000s, early 2010s. So it's the trend. But
with this one, I can't help but feel like they wanted to do a new Freddy versus Jason down the road, and this was building to it because, like I said, you do 2009, you got Friday the 13th, which kind of like amalgamated like a good chunk of the movies into one movie. Then you have this one, which it's not a combination of all of them. It's really just essentially a reimagining of the first movie. And then I think down the road they were gonna probably do a new Freddy versus Jason. Whether or not that was the case, I don't know. But it feels like it because, like you said, that sameness. But then I remembered what year it was, and it's a horror movie, so you know what you get.
I was kind of curious, like, what has this director done? Have you done research on this director?
I have done research on no director.
Okay, so the director is Samuel Bayer.
Okay.
And I looked up what he's done before this film, and I think this is the last thing he actually did.
I don't blame him.
Before this, he did the Bullet in the Bible music video for Green Day, the Jesus of Suburbia music video from Green Day.
Okay.
He did do that one Ozzy Osbourne 2-disc set that's like it was like the Theory of a Dead Man, or whatever it was called. But like he mostly just did music videos, and you're just like, oh, there's a spider right there, spooky. So yeah, so he mostly did music videos. I'm like, how did he do it? And hold on, I have to pull up this quote that Michael Bay gave a reason why. Michael Bay gave the reason. The ability to capture the kind of seductive and unsettling imagery that would make Nightmare feel like a fresh, visually arresting movie-going experience. The guy only did music videos.
And for Green Day.
According to Letterboxd.
And for like Green Day. Like what is so unsettling and creepy about Green Day, Michael?
So, yeah, and then they get what was his name? Jackie Earl Haley, I believe. Haley, that's what it was. Rorschach from Watchmen. And he does a good Rorschach raspy voice in this one. He looks like a mouse in this one. It's his nose that makes it.
Caitlin and I said he looked like we called him Freddy Fish.
He looks like a fish. Yeah, he looks.
Yeah,
he looks amphibian.
This is where because if you remember, a lot of people around this time, the whole gimmick was always, well, this one's gonna be more real. This is gonna be realistic. Like if this really happened, this is what it would look like. That was always the gimmick, and I feel like to an extent it's still around. But I hated it at this time because like, if I want realism, I'll watch something real. I don't want realism.
I do appreciate that he's not trying to do Robert Englund, really.
Yeah, but you know what? I kind of wish he would have because I hate his voice for this. He sounds ADR'd. He doesn't. There's no emotion to his voice except when he screams.
Especially when he's doing like near the end, he's seducing Nancy in the dream in the real gross way.
When he goes Robert Englund.
But he has, like, no emphasis on anything he's saying.
No. It's all like, hey, what if I just talk like this?
How about I like that dress you're wearing.
I do like God!
And, of course, Kyle Gallner is in this. This is his post-punk version of the teenager he did in Jennifer's Body, which is more emo goth. Because he's got Joy Division shirt this time.
Oh my god.
But also Jennifer's Body was a year before this. So he had a phase. Kyle Gallner has done a lot of cool films since then. By the way, these are teenagers. In case you couldn't tell. Because in the beginning, you see, we meet Dean. I do like the setup of the diner.
Yeah.
I do like that. But he's definitely not a teenager. He's definitely like 30.
They all
are. No, I'll say this. Rooney Mara, who plays Nancy, and Kyle Gallner, who plays Quentin, they look like they could be teenagers.
Now, I don't know if I saw her in anything else. Does she ever learn to, like, just relax her eyes?
Oh, she's like, I think her sister is in the House of Cards movies. Like, they're the two sisters. Also, I think, hold on. The sister, or is it Rooney Mara? One of them was Invisible Woman and Fan Forstick.
I don't
Anyway.
know.
Anyway.
I don't know the ins and outs of the actors. I just know this movie, I will give it credit. I'm going to say some nice things.
Okay.
I'm going to say some nice things. Nice thing number one. One of the things that did bother me about the first movie, the original movie, is when Tina is like flailing around or whatever, and her boyfriend like does nothing. He just kind of stands there like a goon looking at her. And then, you know, and I'm just like, no, you're kind of lame, dude. In this one, I did appreciate that when she's flailing around, her boyfriend goes to help her. Jesse goes to help her, and at one point, she just flails so hard and just knocks his ass across the room. So by the time he recovers, that's when Freddy's dragging her all around and everything. I'm okay with that. I actually liked that.
Also note on Jesse, it's Thomas Dekker, who is famous for playing the singing voice of Littlefoot in the Land Before Time film. Just the singing voice.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Nice thing number two. I appreciated that the parents seemed to actually give a shit.
It's Clancy Brown's in this.
The parents, well, until you get to the end with him, but like the parents seem to actually care about their kids. They actually seem to care about, like, one of my biggest gripes about the whole series is every time the kids like have a problem or whatever, the parents are just so like I get it, it's a movie, it's ridiculous, whatever, but like, man, like these kids, their friends are getting killed left and right. And they're just so not supportive.
So there's only like really two parents that are involved. Because Jesse's parents are only involved in this. But there's Clancy Brown, Rawhide from Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah, but it's Mr. Krabs. He's always going to be Mr. Krabs.
Is Quentin's father. And then we have, I forget her name, but woman from American Horror Story Season 1. Plays Nancy's mom. Who has, as my fiance quoted, she has a character trait that is opening the door and saying hey to her daughter. That is all she does in the film. Just watch every scene she's in. She just opens the door, sees what Nancy's doing. Hey Nancy, I just want to say hey. Or, how are you? What's going on? Like, that's all she does in the film. And also to quote my fiance, because she wants me to quote it. She said in the movie, "Oh my God, this is terrible and embarrassing."
That's fair.
And of course, the great scene of when the mother and Nancy are arguing. Are you lying to me? What's this? I'm lying? Are you lying? What's it? I'm lying? Are you lying? I'm not lying to you. Like, just over and over.
Also,
and over.
especially because it's like she's staring at the proof. Like, come off it. Nice thing number 3. When Freddy punches his claw through Guy's chest, because I cannot remember his name, that actually looked really
Jesse.
good.
Yeah.
And I'll also give it to when Chris gets killed. When she's like up in the air and he slices her open and everything, it looked pretty good.
The Jesse kill had
looked pretty good.
The Jesse kill had an interesting idea of like how he mentions that the brain lives for an extra 7 minutes after the heart stops. So that means he's stuck in Freddy roll for an extra 6 minutes. That's screwed up to think about.
And not only that, but the fact that he kills him while he's in prison with another inmate, so it looks like the inmate killed him. Pretty smart. Now, my question is, because with the original movie, everything felt strategic. It felt like he was intentionally picking these kids apart in ways where there's plausible deniability. I mean, he's a dream guy anyway, but
the cops are gonna get him.
To where it's like he can pin it on somebody else. And I felt like with this one, it didn't have that same effect because like when you watch the first kill, like, yeah, in the real world, it looks like he's cutting his own throat open. But when you watch the way it goes down, it's just a struggle. In the case with him, like, he doesn't, like, it doesn't seem like he's thinking about this stuff. It's just kind of happening that way.
There's a scene I thought was, okay, so Tina dies and then Jesse runs away.
Chris dies,
yeah.
Her name is Chris.
But it's Tina in the movie, in the lore.
Christina.
I didn't get that one.
Oh my God! I just said it. It just came to me.
Because I hate the movie. I didn't like this movie, but I love. But there's side note of, you know, when Jesse runs away and then he goes to Nancy's and he leaves Nancy's house and then the cops.
You mean when he's running and some random guy who just sees a guy running goes, "I'm gonna call the cops," even though he has no reason to want
because Tina. Chris's mom is like an air flight attendant, and so she's gone. She's not there. So no one's home. So how do they know he killed her? How do they know there's a dead body there?
Well, no, that's why they had the guy running through, I'm going to call the cops, with no reason
That must
to
have
do
been
it.
added in post.
It had to be. Because that's the thing. Like, if I don't care what time it is. If I just see somebody running, I'm not going to think anything of it. I'm just like, that dude's out running.
Nice thing number...
And it's not lit well enough for him to see that he's covered in blood, either.
Nice thing...
Don't tell me that.
Nice thing number 4. I think I like the idea of... I mean, it takes a little too long, but Nancy's doing the research on everyone from the elementary school.
Yes.
Which
I thought could have gone somewhere much better.
That was really fun. Like they had that one, the Asian kid. He's doing like a webcam thing, and he falls asleep on camera, and boom. I feel like they could have done cooler than that.
Well, because it goes. Well, here goes into one of many not nice things to say about this movie. My biggest problem with the jump scares on this one is they take too long to happen.
Or they're too fast happening.
I would love to know which one you thought was too fast. Because they're all like, they hold on a shot for what feels like an eternity to where you're just like, guys, I see the jump scare coming. Just do it already.
Oh, are you talking about when Chris is in bed with Jesse and you think, oh, it's going to switch Jesse, it's going to be Freddy.
Yeah, but see, that one I think you can play with the length. But I'm talking about like when they do... Like, a great example would be, like, I don't know, the one we were talking about before in the bookstore, how he's just constantly, he's walking, and then we get to the point where you see the back of Freddy, and we're just kind of frozen there. He could have turned around at any time, but it's like, there's more, but this movie is so forgettable as far as a lot of the original stuff that's in this, except, that there are jump scares.
The pacing of this is awful. Awful. It's like the editing person just lost scenes. There's moments where like, okay, the first 30 minutes, Nancy's not even focused on at all. We're just focusing on, it's like we're focused on Dean, and then we're focused on Chris, and now 30 minutes later we're focused on Nancy. It's just like, like I never believed that they were friends.
But if I may play the devil's advocate on this one, you could argue that was a parallel to the Friday the 13th remake, where that one, like the first half hour of that movie, has, aside from like why that girl is there, why Jason has that girl, that's really doesn't matter.
But it's the difference. The Friday the 13th, the final girl is not as important as Nancy.
I'm just saying, I feel like there was a parallel, which goes into my theory that they might have wanted to eventually go Freddy versus Jason with these new versions. And
there's a scene where like we're talking about the library scene, and immediately we're in this jail with Jesse, and they post bail, and we're immediately into another nightmare. Where like there's 2 nightmares back to back in like a minute, and I'm like, have you thought of buffer time? Have you thought about like, I don't know, like having like a calmness at some point to space out the spooky stuff?
Yeah.
It was just so rapid, and it just gets stupid, and I checked my phone a couple times to see what time it was.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times I kept asking myself, how much more movie do we have?
Okay, nice thing number 5. And I'm surprised, I think, because now there's money involved with this.
Now.
That they use the song by the Everly Brothers, All I Have to Do Is Dream. I'm like...
Where was that?
And I'm like, that's a fun little, like, a fun use of that song.
And I can't imagine it was that expensive even at the time.
There was also nice thing number 6. It was stupid. I liked it a lot. Of when she beats Freddy. You're in my world now, bitch. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I did kind of, I will say, I didn't like it as much as you did, but I was okay with it. I was like, the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, he hasn't said bitch yet. And then I thought to myself, right at when she brought him in, when they bring him into the real world, I'm like, because they're giving it to her, not him. And when I got what I wanted,
there was things that I'm very like Freddy. Okay, so they reveal Freddy, right? And he's and Kyle Gallner is in like his Speedo that he fell asleep swimming somehow.
Well, no, he did mention, if you remember in that one scene, he did talk about advanced stages of sleep deprivation, and I forget what it was called, but there's a stage in it where you essentially have dreams while you're awake.
I do appreciate that there is a fear of like he's swimming in the pool, because of course high schools have pools.
Some
do. Some
high schools have swim
Some
teams.
do. But I'm like, oh my god, he's in the pool. He's gonna take a nap after this. When I'm in the pool, I gotta take a nap. So he sees like the parents killing Freddy, and Freddy's like a little wimp. like he's crying and stuff like that, and then it comically runs out of, which we both talked about off camera that we cracked up laughing.
Oh, you talk about once they light him and he runs out like a big flaming scrotum.
Yeah, he's just a scrotum.
But yeah, I mean, kind of going back to what you were saying about, you know, like why is he acting like a wuss? Because you know, with a lot of these guys, you know, based on what I've seen on like To Catch a Predator and stuff, yeah, you know, there's kind of this power dynamic, and once someone more powerful steps in, that's when they usually start groveling and acting this way. And so yeah, it's like.
But why would he portray that in a dream?
I think he's like showing. I think he's showing him. Freddy's showing him what happened, because if you notice, he's only showing him a part of it. I think he's trying to turn his dad against him, maybe, or his son against his dad. I don't know. It does seem weird to like.
And they never tackle that ever.
It just seems to be weird. It seems to be like weird. Like, why would you like here? Let me just show you my backstory.
They give it. Then it's like he gives Clancy Brown assassin, which maybe I just zoned out. I didn't know he was a teacher. In this
no, he was. There was a scene earlier on where he's like, you know, so and so, you know, you need to get to class or whatever. Right. No, he was.
I was on movies, so I just kind of zoned out.
But yeah, but that's usually
I didn't like the Predator thing.
No, I thought that was what pretty much what tainted the movie for me.
And that's
as far as like,
and they cut it from the original. He was supposed to be something like that, but they cut it because you're like, that's a little much. And I don't know, almost like it's smart.
But it's like, why would you even do that? Especially when you get to the... Because then at the end, then he gets really creepy. Like I said,
he gives me the ick.
See, the thing is, that's when he's starting to act more like Robert Englund Freddy. But the problem is now you have that child predator thing, and it's like... It's gross. And it's like, it's not scary. It's not creepy. And it's not like this is an art movie. So it's like, ooh, that's what they want you to think. Okay, cool, but but that's not what I want to feel in this
But Nancy is an art house person because she had a picture of Van Gogh when she was painting. She had like a picture of Van Gogh. There's a scene where she's painting and has just like this. They just printed. I guess they Google searched art pieces and then they just printed them out and put them like set dressing.
I don't know. I hated that aspect of it. I didn't think it didn't help. It didn't help an already average at best movie.
So do you have anything else to say about this movie, or?
Not really. Other than it's not worth the curiosity.
What was it? What was the thing what was the website they were using?
I can't remember.
It was like Rubik's Plex or something.
I don't know, but I do appreciate
Rubikscape.
I do appreciate that period of time where everybody was just like...
It's not MySpace.
Well, I was going to say, I did appreciate that time period where it was like people would make their own versions of the website rather than just use a lesser known version that actually exists.
Yeah.
I did appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciated that. You know, it felt, again, it shows creativity. It shows like, okay, we don't want to use this because we owe people money. Let's create our own. And I like that. And they named it too.
Yeah.
You know, like you've learned recently about me. I hate when things don't, like, if you're going to make something, like, name it. And I appreciate that because they could have just, nowadays they would have just called it the search engine. And it's like, oh, I guess that's what we're searching with. But yeah, I have no more to say about it, honestly.
Yeah. So here we are, Scott. It took a couple hours of recording and also like...
Well, we had to watch the movies.
20 hours of the movies. So we did 8 movies. As we do our rankings. And we'll start from the bottom to the best. So what is your number 8? Do you want to go first or should I go first?
No, I want you to go first because you have, again, throughout all this, you've had familiarity with these movies, having actually seen some of them. I've seen none of them going into this.
I've seen the majority of them. I've watched 10 minutes of the remake and turned it off. It's the first time I ever watched it all the way through.
So I as someone who's a veteran of this stuff, I think you should go
Number
first.
8 is the remake. It's just bad. It's not even fun bad. It's just bad. It's rough to get through. I don't understand the appeal, why people would give this more than 2 stars on on Letterboxd. I don't get it.
Because it's a horror movie, and you have to like horror movies because you're a horror movie person, because horror is your quirk.
But there's better movies out there. And,
of course there are.
And I'm talking, like, yeah, it's just, Remake is definitely bottom of the barrel for me. You?
My number 8 is Freddy's Dead. I you know what? Give me bad over, like, nothing. Like, this was boring. You can be average and not be boring. Freddy's Dead was boring. By the time we got to the dreams, like,
I think
the ear one was pretty cool.
So number 7, my number 7 was Freddy's Dead.
And my number 7 is the 2010 remake.
Yeah, so my thing is why I ranked Freddy's Dead higher is because Freddy's Dead is like, it didn't give me ick. It gave me like, this thing has fizzled out and they're dragging it as far as they can. There was fun little ideas like the ear thing. Johnny Depp is it's at least stupid to where you can kind of enjoy it. And I'll say that's what Freddy's Dead. I probably looked at my phone to see what time it was one time. The remake, I looked at it like 15 times. Okay, so my number 6 is Dream Child.
Okay.
The thing about Dream Child, it's a visually ambitious film, but I feel like it just kind of has a bad script. And I feel like if they were given an extra 6 months to write the script before they filmed the film, I feel like you would have a better product. But they were literally like shooting and writing on the go, and it shows, and it's just like, it's just missed opportunity for Dream Child for me. What's your number 6?
My number 6 is Dream Master. Honestly, I just...
what?
I wasn't really feeling it. It just felt a little off to me. I didn't like... I mean, when you have a kill in the movie that is clear, where it's clearly obvious to someone who doesn't know a thing about movies that you just didn't have Robert Englund that day... I didn't like, I can't remember what her name is off the top of my head.
Alice.
I didn't really like Alice. I don't really think she's that great as a leading character in this movie.
So my number 5 is going to shock people, especially part 2.
Okay.
Part 2, it just didn't vibe with me as much as it's middle of the pack for me. I don't hate it. I'm not going to pop that one first. It's like...
Well, no, it's the second one. You pop that one second.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
If I had to choose between I can have fun with like 3 and 4. I can have fun with those. Can't really have fun with 2 as much. I don't know. It's weird and it's different. I appreciate it. It's just not up there for me. It's a solid B movie for me. Like not as like a B movie, but more of like the grade B for me. Okay. So what's your number 5?
Number 5 is Dream Child. The visuals were enough to make it make it middle of the road for me. The visuals are really good. You could definitely tell where the majority of the budget went on this one. With the motorcycle kill, the stuff in like the church looking place, the Freddy baby, but it's just I will give credit. While in Dream Master, I don't think Alice was that good. I think this time around she made for a better leading character. I think it also helped that we knew she was the lead from the beginning. Whereas if you know nothing about the next movie, you're thinking, oh, Kristen's back, so it's gonna be that level, and it's like, oh well, it's the same, not the same. You know what I mean? It's like there's an expectation that gets there that like you're expecting one thing, you get another. With this one, like if you the fact that it's directly connected, you're getting Alice, and she kind of has her own time to shine. It's the Alice show. Yeah. And I think she did a lot better in this one. I kind of like the stuff with the kid. But I'm not big on kids in horror movies. That's just me. But like I said, I can't say a lot bad about this one. You could just, like I said, you could definitely tell where the budget went in this movie.
My number 4 is Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Me too.
I think I liked it for the most part, but that third act really kind of hurt it for me. And also the weird thing of like the lore is kind of like haphazard and kind of silly, and I think
you and I looked at it through different.
I think it's too silly for how serious they're making the movie.
As I said, I think like a lot of that stuff that when Wes is explaining to Heather how it works, I think he was just using a metaphor. I don't think he was being literal. I think it's...
But he was a demon, and it was literal at the end.
No. It's true. No. What I mean is, to Wes, it's a metaphor. But in reality... or maybe it is, but he says it that way so he doesn't come off as crazy. Like I said, I liked I think you and I will agree, the meta aspect of it was really good. It was well acted. You know, the kid was a little over the top, but... He didn't do a bad job.
Literally, he was on the top of the thing and jumped.
When he wasn't, like, screaming or freaking out, he shined.
Yeah.
He did a really good job. It's once you have him do all the screaming and stuff, you lost.
We forgot to mention that, like, the MVP was Rex.
I mean, he was protecting him.
Yeah.
I'm
a little sad that there was no, like, giant, like, dinosaur in the dream to stop Freddy.
Dude, my wife and I were both saying, like, dude, if we go into his dream and Rex is, like, this gigantic dinosaur, yeah, you know what? Maybe they wanted to, but it wasn't in the budget. I mean, look at some of the effects at the end.
Like, a little bit after Jurassic Park.
They could have.
The technology was there.
He could have been, hey Steven, can I borrow the top of the T-Rex?
Hey Stefan Spielberg.
But I don't think the end is that bad. I will say what this movie could have used and why it's not higher. Could have used one of those early era like jump scare endings, like one of those like we could get a sequel endings. Could have used that.
So my number 3, this is where the list.
I know we do.
Number 3 is Remaster. I think this is fun, harmless. Yeah, sure. You almost swayed me with the brother fighting Invisible Freddy. You almost swayed me on that, but I like a lot. The cockroach kill is one of my all-time favorites. Like there's a lot of cool kills in it. A lot of cool. I remember watching with you because I got here a little early. The scene where Alice and Dan are doing that while they're trying to save the girl from the cockroach kill. They're doing like a rope. They're stuck in a loop, and I'm like, that's different. That's new. You have not seen that really in the Nightmare films. I just think it's. I also love the variation. I know, like there's a different Kristen, but I like how it was like a passing of the torch.
Yeah, again, it's not...
Literally, she's lit on fire, so that is a torch.
I mean, that aspect I don't think was bad, although Kristen is a piece of crap for... Because think about it, if she would have just died with the ship and took her power with her, Freddy would have been useless.
But I think because she introduced Alice, we talked about this the 2 episodes, when she brings in Alice, she's accidentally brought a new victim for Freddy, so she gave her the power so she can defend herself.
I mean, yeah, and that's fair.
So that's my number 3. What's your number 3?
Ooh, this is where I'm gonna get hate. Number 3 is the original, the very first movie. And here's the thing: the top 3, honestly, top 4, because I think New Nightmare is neck and neck with these 4. This is like picking like number 1, number 1.2, 1.3, you know what I mean?
That's my number 1 and 2.
The problem with part 1 is it's a victim of being the original, in my estimation.
He's just a Wes Craven hater.
No, you misunderstand. What I'm saying is, it's a victim of being the original in the sense of it laid the foundation and was a really good movie. Like, this is just a straight up good movie. Not a good horror, just a good horror movie. Good movie. A non-horror fan would get something out of this. But to me, numbers 2 and 3, I think, took the foundation that this laid and went in 2 really good directions with it.
Fair.
Like I said, you will not find me say too much bad about this other than, I just would have liked a reason why he didn't actually try to wake up Tina. And the parents need to just chill out. But,
okay.
But I mean, this is like really, not counting part 2, because part 2 really, I don't think is canon to the other movies in any way. It's the only time where Freddy's like legitimately, genuinely creepy, and he kind of is in love. He's in love with this idea of what he is and how he goes about it, and the fact that they don't.
Two?
No, part 1.
Okay.
And how he they don't know how this works, so he's kind of relishing in it rather than just using it for his own means. He doesn't just do it; he loves it.
Like this?
Yeah. And going back to that one, which is something I didn't like in the remake, was some great lines in the first one, like the I'm your boyfriend now, or the part where he's like, oh God, and he's like, no, this is God. And how in the remake they had that moment where the one dude says, oh God, and he doesn't say it.
And he says like, there's no God. Just me. And
and it's like, no, this is God would have been really good in that moment. Or like, with the revelation of what Freddy is in that one, when he does the I'm your boyfriend now, like, ew, it's just
yeah.
But in this one, it's really good. And like I said, Robert Englund did a good job. All the kids did everybody did a good job. This was a really great, you know what? For starting a new film company, this was a great win for New Line Cinema.
What's your number 2?
Funny enough, my number 2 is Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. For all the reasons you don't like it, it's the reasons I like it. I'm not trying to be a contrarian or anything like that.
That's fine.
I think they, rather than go the normal route of just more of the same, I feel like they really tried to do something original and unique with the formula that really wasn't replicated until maybe New Nightmare.
Yeah.
Like where like we're doing something unique. We're kind of teasing this idea of Freddy's doing the dream thing, but he might also be in the real world kind of thing. I like the relationship between him and Jesse. I just like how interesting it is to me. Like taking this idea of someone from the dreams and who now wants to be real, like real flesh and blood real. And how is he going to do that? What does he do to do that? And the fact that, like, he needs a vessel. He needs somebody. So it's kind of like this... It's kind of like abusive relationship, almost. And I like that aspect of it. For a stupid movie about a burn victim who kills people in their dreams, I think it was a pretty interesting idea.
Yeah. My number 2, which is your number 1, I'm guessing, is Dream Warriors.
Well, I mean, I guess it goes without saying.
Yeah, Dream Warriors super fun. It's definitely my favorite sequel of probably most of the franchises. I mean, I like Friday the 13th Part 4 a lot more.
Oh, I'd have to go back. I'd have to go back and really think about that.
But like, I think Dream Warriors is like the quintessential, if you want fun, Nightmare on Elm Street film. This is the one to go to. This one has Dokken. This one has great characters, fun teenager characters.
Great kills.
An
interesting story.
It's got everything you want. Bill Maher's in it. It's got everything you want in the film.
Nancy's back.
It's like the Halloween 2018 version where it's like we skip number 2 and we're just here on 3, and it's so fun. Yeah.
And
Dokken.
Well, I'll just since we already are talking about it, my number 1 is part 3, the Dream Warriors. Take Dokken out of the equation because that's a big part of it. I like you said, the characters are a lot of fun. They're interesting. You care about them. By the end of the movie, like when they start dying, like you care. You get upset. The kills are really interesting.
The snake.
The
Freddy snake, the prime time, the
oh
the
my
needles,
God, yes. You get
the wizard.
You get like this is where like bitch Freddy comes from.
Yeah. So my number 1 is the original. Love it. It's the OG, as they say. It's I don't know. Number one in Dream Warriors was very neck and neck. It could change here and there, but I think number one. I'm gonna stick with number one. I'm not gonna explain it to the audience.
I mean, like I said, those first three to me, I mean, are really good.
Yeah.
You can't.
And four's
you can't say enough good about them.
Four's a little messy, but overall it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
Overall it's a less painful series than Halloween.
Oh God, yes. I was gonna say Friday the 13th wasn't so bad.
No.
I would say the only one I hated was
Jason X.
At least I will give credit, and as I said in those videos, at least Jason Goes to Hell tried something. It didn't work, but they tried something.
But that's it. What's your favorite Nightmare on Elm Street film? Put in the comments below. Let us know if our rankings are wrong.
I definitely know people are gonna hate mine.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and do all that stuff. But it's another retrospective we could do. Because, we've done a couple of them. It could be single films. It could be franchises. If it's franchises, we're going to have to set some time for that. But, if it's a single movie, maybe we'll do it. I'm planning...
Yeah, we kind of want to get more into doing individual films or trilogies rather than at most where...
And we don't even have to do rankings.
Right. But, when you have more than one movie,
Yeah.
Unless you're, I don't know. But we will still tackle franchises, but, we want some smaller, bite-sized pieces too.
But that means, so we did Friday the 13th.
Right.
And we've done Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes.
I think that leaves one more thing.
You can't mean what I think you're thinking.